Hey guys and welcome to a potential new series on the channel, which is What If Naruto Was Reborn as a Girl / Female Part 1. And for those who are somewhat maybe wondering / maybe freaking out, probably less freaking out, more wondering where maybe Part 5 somewhat is to What If Naruto was joined by the fox and became female. Part 5 will be somewhat in either 3 parts of this, so pretty much after part 3 of this, or 2 other different what ifs, potentially. Whichever one kind of you guys want, either 2 other different, what ifs from my mind, or, 2 more parts out to this. Anyway, yeah, the only reason why is, you guys are getting somewhat burnt out. I'm not yet, but you guys somewhat are, so obviously the views, views are dropping, so a bit of a break will probably do us both good. Anyway, so let's get into this. So, someone just ignore at least somewhat, picture of Naruto, somewhat Naruto. There was no real kind of old picture Naruto. There was one, but that was just literally, someone went in, somewhat paint or that, got grey and then just pasted it, painted it somewhat in with, and yeah. Anyway, yeah, so there's no real, old Naruto somewhat pictures, so went with that. Anyway, so yeah, Naruto would be an old man. He'd be, well, some people would call him his somewhat nickname was also the Immortal Shinobi, or the Immortal Hokage, as well. He was 195 years old, and well, he'd be somewhat on his back. Well, he'd be somewhat, he'd be somewhat in the hospital, as he'd somewhat be slowly, as somewhat he'd be somewhat just kind of one, just somewhat, he felt, he somewhat knew he was going to die within the next few seconds. Like he could feel his life draining rapidly now, yet he just couldn't. You could never be able to apologise enough to someone in that way. Because the truth was that he never truly loved her. Sure, he would be somebody, he loved his kids and that, and whilst once kind of he and Hinata had started dating, he'd somewhat finally kind of realised that Sakura was kind of right, and that the love between, or at least the love he thought he felt for Sakura was actually just the love he felt with somewhat the love he shared with Ayame, which was that of, a kind of some brother sister. Well, yeah, somewhat Naruto loved, just somewhat loved her like a sister. And yeah, but of course it was only, and yeah, and he somewhat, he swore to himself that, he loved, he really, actually, loved Hinata, and well, to most people it showed, because he gave her, 2 children, she bore him 2 children, but it was about maybe a year or 2, maybe even 3 after that second child did he kind of realise that he didn't really love her, as so he thought the love he felt for, his children was genuine, but he didn't feel that same kind of, like, some of that feeling with Hinata. He kind of felt after spending more time with some female friends, he kind of realised that's what she kind of felt like. It was just living with a friend, but not, a friend that, you're in a romantic relationship with, just a friend, and that was it. And he kept that quiet, as of course he who knows, what would happen if he'd told her and that, and yeah. Of course, though, when the day came when she passed away at the age of 80, he somewhat kind of felt glad he kicked himself that he just didn't tell her how he truly felt about her, and that every time she'd tell him how much she loved him, he'd say something about that, he loved her dearly too. That was simply just my very insanely clever lie. People said he could lie, but to be honest, he was probably the best liar in the entire planet. And yeah, of course, though, and yeah, you can just somewhat hope that when he kind of died, that Hinata would maybe accept it. Maybe she knew. That's why she told him that she'd be, fine, and that everything would be okay. And yeah, you'd never know. He'd think that he'd know shortly. And yeah, though as he'd somewhat open his kind of eyes one final time, he'd smile, to his great grandchildren, and that after all he's 195 years old, and yeah, though I need someone, tell them to not cry, and that everything will be fine. And yeah, and that somewhat he was only truly gone when when he's truly forgetting that he'd always be in their hearts. And yeah, and with that he'd simply, though he'd somewhat feel like he'd close his eyes as he'd simply die, like every sign told them that they was dead, yet he couldn't but felt weightlessness. Once it was dark, sorry, it was still dark, but he felt weightlessness. No, it couldn't be. And yeah, he somewhat roughly knew what he prepared for, as well, she'd been, dead and brought back, and it told him that or at least it met his somewhat dead, and the and somewhat kind of told him, and only really somewhat him, kind of what it was like, as of course after it met his own dad. Granted, that was within the seal, something widely different, but yeah, they'd said kind of that, and yeah, so he'd prepared himself to maybe be like that, but instead, his mum, his dad, his, maybe like their parents, and maybe, his children, and, like pet animal, a pet animal or two, or maybe Konhamaru, the Fire Kage, Jiraiya. Yet there was nothing, just weightlessness. And yeah, but was this hell? Though, but he could, and next thing you'd know, he could hear something. It was sort of odd, it was incredibly faint, yet the weightlessness was starting to vanish, starting to slowly somewhat go, as these sounds would seemingly get somewhat louder and louder and louder, until it would loudly somewhat moan as eyes would sort of flutter open, and be confused for a few moments as he started to look round. Was he dead? go and he'd pinch his on my cheek, being, the sensitive part, highly sensitive part, considering he's got 3 wrist marks there, which I'm highly sensitive. And he'd wince. And someone he'd wince. And it goes, my skin would mentally hurt even more than what it should do. And so and someone blinking to get the tiredness out of his eyes. He'd look around and he'd somewhat start to recognise as his mind would retrieve memories almost long since nearly forgotten. These were almost Konoha streets, but that was kind of in alleyways, but that was impossible. Why? Well, because Konoha alleyways had changed, obviously, since, the kind of more, somewhat modern era. This was Shinobi era, but that was impossible, right? It's no way it wound up somehow doing a jutsu hack. The only one he could ever remember to perform, or the only one he could ever remember now, was the Rasengan, and once he couldn't do it due to his long since he'd stopped using chakra, over 100 odd years ago he'd stopped using chakra. But even so, so I did always remember, and once, people other people who got, old, and, their chakras dropped from maybe, like S rank and that to, from maybe even, borderline low Biju. Well, they, most of them had either high Jonin to maybe even low Genin to civilian levels. By the time they were somewhat old, and that he, on the other hand, he was still kicking into the, he was now somewhat, by the time he died, he was on the sort of borderline of 10 tails. And he had a mammoth amount, especially. Well, he had a mammoth amount of chakras. And the fact he died with that much chakra, and it truly just showed just how powerful Uzumaki vitality truly was, and he was only half Uzumaki. And but he didn't have, he pinched himself, so he knew he was alive. Pain, well, could you even feel pain when you're dead? Maybe we should check if he could bleed, but he was like hesitant. As he'd slightly started to look down, he'd realise he was different. And so, no, not really look somewhat down. He'd realise he'd also realised the world was tilted. Granted, he'd since then pushed himself up into a certain position somewhat without ever kind of looking down at himself, getting glance, so finally actually registering that he may, potentially want to sort of look downwards, and he'd realised that something wasn't exactly quite right. If this was his maybe hell or that, or somehow he got shot back in time, to relive and, make the past, and get rid of all his, regrets that he may have, then why the hell was he in a dress, of all things? You can fathom it. Granted, it, but it, you'd somewhat think maybe, though somewhat otherwise he'd sort of look down and he'd sort of, no, surely it's just, like I'm just, would need to, like, clothes, I'm still, he'd pull it somewhat up, well, somewhat flip the kind of skirt up, and, well, he somewhat got off the dress, and, well, that would be some panties, and pulling, and feeling, putting his sort of hand on that, his very, very small hand, and putting barely any pressure sort of on there, you'd feel it dip in the front, and yeah, God, I'm actually, gal, what's going on, and wonder, and if it was true, if he was truly back in time, then it'd mean he'd kind of someone get up, he'd, look, and something he'd turn, well, he'd got to look at his hands, but not really his arms and that, so he'd, look around, he'd see, and sort of his mind would start immediately kind of going back to its, old self, kind of slightly, well, not really shinobi, but, figuring out a way to get to the top, and once it's on red, he'd, go to start doing that when he'd get a look at his arm, and he'd immediately know, and someone looking at that, he'd know he wouldn't be able to pull himself, well, herself up. Going too weak, even weaker now. Yeah, but if this is truly my second chance, then I'm not gonna let it down. I'm not gonna let whoever gave me this chance again down. And I thought countless times about, what I could have done differently, I could have actually trained, instead of just complaining and, wanting just, jutsus, when I could have just been training. And yeah, now I really am going to take my training actually seriously. I'm going to show them what actually is my name. I know my old name, but wasn't it? Oh man, right, he'd be alive, should know, right? It'd be potentially odd after all, I should know of him. Guess, well, he found me when I was about 3, which I guess I am, so yeah, and if I can remember, I think that was when I found out my name. That was, yeah, you'd somewhat, you'd find, and yeah, though, sorry, like I said, well, at least for now I need to get to the forest, start at least training, and yeah, at least I remember that much, but when I was younger, that we'd come across, he'd come across me in the forest, so surely, that would happen again, of course. Is he even a man? I'm a female now, so maybe he is as well. Maybe everyone that is a boy this time is a girl, and everyone that's a girl then is now a boy. Maybe not. Probably. Known my luck. Probably, maybe, most definitely not. Yeah. So from there, she'd somewhat push herself up onto somewhat shaky and thin legs, somewhat kind of thin legs. And yeah, and somewhat they'd, retrieve, memories, and they'd somewhat mentally kind of wonder how much chakra she had, and how much chakra do I have? I know Miles have had big reserves even, at this age, but, or at least I guess at this age, but now I have, well, I guess I'll have maybe smaller reserves, but how small? But yeah, slightly new girls naturally had somewhat smaller reserves, and as that slightly smaller reserves, better chakra control. Yeah, though he also knew if he waited for the academy, he wasn't really going to get all that strong. That, and also by the time most convicts actually start really heavily training physically, is by the time they're already pretty much in their, they're already, somewhat in their, kind of somewhat woman period of life. In other words, where their bodies now, transform into somewhat the woman that they would, be for the rest of their life. So as such, muscle growth and that is slowed down, and yeah, and so he knew he had to train now, and yeah, and the first thing she'd do would be to awaken her chakra control, as at the very least it would boost or at least it would get her body used to using chakra for much more long periods of time at a small, consistent and low volume from a large thing, because I've seen large, once it got moving it was just like a freaking snowball. Once you start it off, it may start as somewhat slow, small, but as it rolled down that freaking hill, it picked up speed and it got bigger and bigger. Much by the time it got to the bottom and you tried stopping it, well, yeah, you'd probably more likely die from trying to do so. And yeah. Anyway, though, so yeah, she'd go. So that she'd walk out, she would indeed just see 3 heads. First, the second. Well, no, 4 heads. First, the second, third, and the fourth. They all seemed like how they were somewhat doing kind of his first time around. And yeah. So as you walk towards kind of these somewhat forested area, so feel of course the somewhat glass, the hot glass and that. And yeah, not only that, but the looks of somewhat, some few would give her, looks of somewhat pity, and that, and you could even see, some actual shinobi look somewhat, or at least in their eyes, seem somewhat disgusted, not at her, but at the civilians and that, yet they weren't doing nothing, and it somewhat, annoyed, why the hell are they, look disgusted at them if they're not gonna fucking, go and help me, then why the hell, are they? She'd just taken, somewhat a deep breath and let it out. She'd continue forward. And yeah, though, just as she'd, get something to the, forested area, she'd hear, some civilians kind of speak about maybe, if she goes in, hopefully she won't come out. Or how she wanted to spin around and just beat the hell out of that woman. Or how she wanted to, but she'd shake her head. She'd kind of take another deep breath and let it out. And yeah. But she'd somewhat wonder what else was somewhat out, or at least potentially somewhat was. She'd, when someone end up remember, right, Kuruma. Grammar. Someone did be back, he'd be alive. He'd, mentally realise as someone had died doing kind of a, or at least in the somewhat Otsutsuki invasion of that world. And Kuruma had sacrificed his life to do a somewhat one-off somewhat jutsu, well, less jutsu, more kind of somewhat way of getting a massive boost in like power, and yeah, that was his greatest somewhat it hurt him the most because it really hammered home just how much of his life he really, just how, those small, so, not really training all that much during the academy really hit him hard. Because if he had trained, if he took those, seriously, and he was, training properly hard, running weights and that, and pushing his body to the limits every day, and then it'd be 10, 100, 1,000, a million, a billion, maybe even a trillion times freaking stronger. Maybe he'd be strong enough to defeat those Oxutsukis without having to sacrifice, without Kurama having to sacrifice his life. Heck, maybe even being, strong enough to, be able to defeat Madara. Maybe. But this time, well, she'd know for sure she wasn't. Every time she somewhat could take, so she'd, and she knew she'd have to have, time to rest, as well, sure, she'd want to, or at least they'd want to ask the fox about, or at least the fox, about what he's truly, pushing himself and that, wouldn't he be, faster, or at least to destroy, to actually destroy his muscles and have the fox, and somewhat re-heal them to its functional state, that would actually weaken himself. As getting stronger was different than destroying your muscles. Destroying your muscles would get you weaker, as they had to, physically grow back. Whereas, somewhat you're saying, somewhat, getting stronger just somewhat means, the muscles kind of destroy themselves and get bigger. Well, no. You push them to their limit, and you push them beyond their limits. Of course, humans can, the muscles can go well and truly beyond their limits. Even somewhat, without chakra, humans, when push comes to somewhat shove and you're put in a situation, your freaking muscles can lift massive amount of weight and or power and have massive amount of power behind them. And for how slim somewhat they are, they can have an incredible amount of power behind. But that's the thing, that's only temporarily, of course, that constantly would destroy them. And so as they go beyond their somewhat limit into the somewhat red line kind of temporarily state, whereas the harder you push them, the shorter they can run at that time for. Once they enter somewhat that state and stay there for a few seconds or so, then the body will somewhat, heal that damage up, and then grow new muscle, so that it, doesn't enter that red line. It's kept from that red line. Of course, the more times you enter that red line, as muscle keeps on growing, the stronger you get. So destroying muscle will get you weaker. Truly actually destroying it, it's stupid you say, your muscles are something they regrow. No, they don't. They heal themselves and grow new. If they were to regrow, you'd be weakening yourself, as it takes time. And well, sure, you could heal near instantly, but if they were actually destroying their muscles, heck, they wouldn't be able to freaking lift their arm, really. Which, well, kind of really, hit home somewhat for, Naruto, and anyway, though, those should go to the forest, and she'd somewhat finally, though, after going in a somewhat fair distance, should sit down, sort of crossing her legs, as she'd sort of close her eyes, and she'd almost immediately find the warmth of some of her chakra. It was always damn easy to feel. After all, the larger your reserves, the easier it was to find, and he was the first to find his reserves. Well, not only to find it, but also to actually be able to use it, or awaken it, gain control of it. And though she knew she had some work on hers. It was big, but damn was it a pain in the ass to get moving. And so somewhat time would go, though an hour or two, maybe even 3 would go by, and she'd finally open her eyes. She'd finally feel it, her chakra flowing through her. She could already feel slightly stronger, faster maybe. And though from there she'd get up and she'd walk over to a tree. She'd look up there, look up at it, and she'd say, well, that's going to be a pain in the ass to do, but for right now. She'd somewhat look down to a bush right next to it. I have to start with you first. And she'd somewhat pick a leaf from the bush and then sit down once more and put it and press it against her forehead, though sometime later, and her stomach would somewhat let her know it was hungry. Actually, it was slightly painful, which meant she was starving, not hungry. And considering the state of herself, she figured she'd been starving for some time now, and it wasn't good. No, so from there, she'd go over, she'd follow the lake up until this point. She'd follow the lake, a river, up to a point where she then branched off. So 5 minutes of walking, and she'd once more be at that river. Though so much she'd feel the pain in her stomach grow. And though she'd know she'd have to wait at least a couple more minutes, as she'd she'd once more, or at least wander somewhat slightly off into the forest again, picking up branches and that falling to the ground. While she's kind of figured he's roughly the same height as his old self. And though due to somewhat being weaker, couldn't really kind of snap off the branches. His self during that time could barely snap them, and here being even weaker, there was no chance he was snapping some of the more thicker branches. They could potentially just about reach. So she'd collect the ones on the ground, and after getting a decent amount, she'd go back and start rubbing them together. After about 10-15 minutes of rubbing, they'd finally catch light, and after building up some of a fire and enough lively sticks that it would at least last hopefully an hour, maybe, she'd get into some of the river and would start trying to catch fish. Plenty of fish. And after a while, she'd somewhat give up catching one more. How many fish she had? Well, she'd somewhat say she only had 2. But hey, she'd somewhat figured 2 was better than none, and true. And so from there, she'd go up and she'd go to she'd see a relative, somewhat thin, piece of branch that hadn't quite burnt yet, or at least hadn't, caught fire yet. So she'd grab it and she'd try and bend it, but it seemingly wasn't bending. or at least it was, but it was hard, so sending any amount of chakra that she wasn't, she knew it would be, she'd just be dumping, chakra into her sort of arms. It'd be mainly useless, but it would give her enough, or at least enough chakra actually went into her muscles to actually give her extra strength to snap it. And thankfully it snapped just how so much she kind of wanted it, or at least would like it to snap, that being slightly on the somewhat sharper side, so that she could piss through these sort of fish, so that she could put it into the ground and they could cook over the fire, and that she wouldn't have to kind of hold the fishes somewhat there over the fire. Yeah. So with that, some of course time would go by, and she'd, though once they were about cooked, or at least once she figured out about cooked, she'd somewhat and ordered someone to eat it. And, though from there she'd then go back to training, and 3 days would go by, and it was a somewhat already night. Then it was slow, very slow progress trying to get the leaf to stick to her forehead, but hey, she was improving. She was slowly getting there. And though he somewhat kind of kicked himself, or at the very least he could have continued to at least use a small amount of chakra hack. Jutsus, you couldn't really remember any jutsus, which she figured was kind of good, because it meant she wouldn't end up accidentally showing something she shouldn't necessarily do, and she knew she rarely shouldn't kind of go, hey, look at this, look what I can do, and people go, oh my god, that's Rasengan, and then he was gonna be, how do and something like that, and it'd be kind of awkward. So though she'd sort of figured that she could at least do the two fast, maybe exercises, popping a water balloon and a sort of rubber ball, and kind of just somewhat pretend once done water walking, without doing that sort of the second part. So when dry finally came around to probably doing it, it'd be more ironic, or something like that. Anyway, though, from there though she'd go, at least though she'd sort of wonder, at least someone should you kind of wonder somewhat it was nice. So now though she was somewhat wondering still, why why did he get his second chance? Sure, it did minutely bug him that he was now gal, but hey, his second chance, he'd take that, then going to wherever and having to explain why he didn't tell her Hinata, and probably being beaten up by his parents and that, and maybe even the fox himself. Yeah. Anyway, and so he'd should hear, though should try to snap her head over to some bushes and that. Should put her feet, should get her feet somewhat kind of under her in some position where she could easily throw herself quickly upwards and run as fast as she could in the very opposite direction. And she was knowingly strong enough to take on whoever was coming after her, or whatever animal decided to investigate or get curious. Though just as, or at least then something noise got enough, the person go, I'm just someone, an old man, like on a somewhat night, on a kind of night walk. She'd narrow her eyes, she knew that voice and that face. And, yeah. It was Harrison. And, yeah. Though, and, yeah, Harrison tried to come see her and would mentally sigh. He'd heard the crackling fire and while being out, somewhat on a kind of walk, something like walk. He decided to kind of investigate it, as 3 days ago his harbour had finally found, or at least somewhat Naruto, and well, the one that found her decided to come back and tell him not to come back with her. And after kind of chewing the harbour out for its stupidity, not bringing her, to him. And yeah, to which another harbour, once that harbour left to kind of go and retrieve her, asked him if he should go and kill that harbour, to which Harrison had immediately said no. That other harbour was Doug, aka Hatake Kakashi. And yeah, granted, the boy was only, the team was only somewhat young, yet he cared a lot, so he was, somewhat, well, the gal was only, somewhat not only young, but was also the fourth Hokage's daughter, so it made sense why he'd care that, and probably also, the child being a gal, would, want to protect, a lot more. And yeah, anyway, though, and yeah, though, they would sit down and they would somewhat talk, and yeah, similarly, though, he would somewhat wonder if she'd like to maybe become a, Konrichi, does a slight challenge, and yeah, he'd, he'd of course introduce himself on Harrison, and well, yeah, they would talk, and by the end of it, he'd ask someone if he were to leave, would she be here in the morning? She'd kind of nod that she'd ask kind of why, and yeah, he'd go, well, I'm somewhat kind of the leader sort of this kind of village, and well, sort one of those buildings sort you'd probably you or someone maybe buy or maybe in once. Well, how about you'd like somewhat one of those as your home? To do really? Of course. A home to yourself. She'd nod and he'd go, well, yeah, he'd sort of nod and he'd go, well, then I'll, come by tomorrow then, if that's, okay with you. To which he'd nod, and from there he'd get up and he'd tell her, to have a somewhat good night, and from there he would leave. And yeah, Naruto would somewhat know that, well, when the father had somewhat said that, memories came back of his old apartment, and yeah, the somewhat sadness, anger, all the emotions came back, from just that apartment alone, and yeah, so it was mouldy and that, and but hey, it was his own, and yeah, though unknown to him, Houston had wildly different idea, mainly because somebody knew one dog, like Kakashi, would probably kill him if he gave Naruto a sort of home in the not really, well, apartment would probably be fine, but it'd have to be in the Shinobi district, which, well, that somewhat was a apartment complex, but well, it'd be somewhat, a bit odd, having a child, surround, so in a apartment complex, with June, Jonine, and potentially even a Humbu. So yeah, the only other thing that was home, actual, one story, so flats, 2 and 3 story buildings, homes, houses, and yeah, of course, on this villain side, there was, also somewhat those, but yeah, granted, they were somewhat cheaper, but well, yeah, of course, some of these villain would also, side they'd also have to have, an Ambu, some watch out just in case, and Ambu, a civilian, breaks the law and actually tries and hurt her, because it made it very much, a law that anyone, not only, anyone that would speak about, the Nine Tails, no one couldn't speak about it, but also that if they tried and harmed her, they would die by his hands, and he'd make it almost painful. Well, he didn't say that part, but he sure thought it. And yeah, of course, after that, he'd made sure the Kaharu, the elders and Donzo knew, especially Donzo, that they dare touch her, and they would be dead. And yeah, so anyway, so from there, though, the very next day, so though it was Naruto somewhat kind of, she'd somewhat become conscious, and she'd sort of smell the smell of smoke, and yeah, she'd let her sigh, or at least meant to her, and she'd go back to smoke. She'd snap her eyes open, recognising the sort of scent, and she'd sort of kind of turn her head upwards. I should just put it out. No, of course he smokes. He doesn't even need to smoke it to be able to smell of it. Wait, I'm on his lap. She'd sort of go even wider. She'd then proceed to shoot straight vertical, pretty much sit straight up. As she'd sort of go red, as she'd ask how long was I like that? About an hour. I've been here for sort of about an hour, and while I'd figured she wasn't exact, kind of laying how you are, wasn't maybe the comfortableness. So yeah, I'm no need. I was the one that put your head there, so don't worry, don't think much of it. She'd nod though from now, but it'd kind of go on autopilot as she'd perceived to somewhat stretch and let her yawn. And yeah, he was just like, you can't smile at that, as no matter seemingly how old you are, when you use chakra, or had chakra just flowing through you, and you had the connection to your chakra, awakened it, everyone just seemed to somewhat stretch, as of course that stretch, and allowed, of course, these sort of muscles to slightly warm up, but also it allowed the chakra network to go from kind of sleep idle, or at least it flowing around the chakra network with doing sleep was of course a lot slower, as it allowed for the kind of regeneration, so it slowed down. But of course, and yeah, whilst during the day, had a much higher, kind of awake idle, so sleep, somewhat idle, and awake idle, and somewhat just stretching, of course, somewhat, stretching, that of course, somewhat, the muscles would demand, chakra, and so and as those muscles demand chakra, the network would be put onto somewhat, awake, and would start picking up somewhat speed and that, and yeah. And you'd feel a slight fluctuation of Naruto's chakra, which started, and yeah, you'd pick it up, and you'd note that granted she was very much an orphan, and so he knew some orphans, indeed naturally just awoke that chakra by themselves. And yeah, of course, some years ago, sort of for about 15 years, when, or at least, somewhat they'd find out that, or at least somewhat an orphan child could awaken their own chakra by themselves. It was kind of deemed a kind of, or at least on the orphanage somewhat part, something that was looked down upon, as it showed that they hadn't, received enough, love, enough care, as they sought within themselves to find that care, that safeness that chakra provide, kind of naturally provided. And yeah, because it wasn't somewhat until 15 or so some years later when they'd figured that the children that had awakened it showed that they had, by the time they became shinobi, that they had better chakra control due to kind of unconsciously using it and that. But once they were physically slightly weaker, or at least somewhat up until the point of where they would chakra control starting to get in, when they could then turn, or at least somewhat the chakra aid off, pretty much meaning that when you'd move your muscles, instead of chakra aiding them like it did when you activated your chakra, it would it wouldn't. So you'd gain, or at least somewhat physical exercises would give you more of a strength and boost in strength than it would otherwise. Yeah. Anyway, that, and though that they also had a somewhat closer connection to their chakra, and much more developed connection to their chakra, which meant their ability to mold their chakra was somewhat better than the others, and of course a higher reserves. So whilst it was now wasn't of course looked down upon, it was rather just somewhat rather that the child didn't actually activate it, their chakra. While some before that they didn't, as it still showed there was a lack of care for that specific child. It did at least somewhat mean on the upside they'd have better control, better control and manipulation skills and that of that reserves. And so you'd have to tell, or at least somewhat Naruto, and not really Naruto, that was not her name, that you'd have to tell some Ruby, and actually he'd now realise did she even know her name. She'd look at her and she'd go, by any chance do you know your name? What's that? And she'd finish to go, is that somewhat demon? Oh, how you just wanted to kill the orphanage mother right then and there. He'd go, no. He'd shout somewhat and just naturally flinch, and he'd take a deep breath and would let out slowly as he'd go, no, I'm sorry, but no, I didn't mean to shout. No, your name is Ruby, yeah. Even though you're somewhat an orphan, your somewhat mum and somewhat kind of named you somewhat after the jam, because, well, just before somewhat she died, she said that you was somewhat a little Ruby, and that somewhat Naruto, because somewhat himself, he could very much see his mum Kushina very much saying that, and that hurt the heart. He'd feel pain in his somewhat chest, and as somewhat the kind of memories somewhat flowed back from when Kushina explained, somewhat that night and her point of view to him, and yeah, that would somewhat all, yeah. And so it kind of tears would slightly flow somewhat come out of his somewhat eyes as he was going to kind of go over and someone bring her into a cuddle. And yeah, you'd figure, him and something, actual name, that she actually had a name, that's why she was crying. Not quite, but yeah. And yeah, it's kind of meant he had, my figured he somewhat had kind of somewhat straight hair. Being female, his hair would be somewhat long, or if not long yet, or if not long right now, it would be, and the weight from the length of the hair would weigh the spikes down. And yeah, he did slightly hope he had red hair, and hearing Husen say it was, that Kushina had called her her little Ruby. And yeah, though she would somewhat be curious what her maybe original name was meant to be, as it seemed to slightly imply that wasn't meant to be her name. She kind of figured that maybe, she was going to probably call him Naruto. But instead called her that instead due to her hair, potentially. Hope so, but there was no point trying to see her hair colour, as it would need a good washing. And yeah, and so somewhat from there, well, yeah, though somewhat after kind of that, and after somewhat she'd kind of wipe her eyes, slightly apologise to Richard, so there was no need to, and that everyone needs a good cry now and then. To Richard just somewhat nod, that was true. And yeah, though somewhat from there, it'd somewhat pick her, it'd go, I'm going to pick you up if that's okay. Now, she'd somewhat nod, and it'd pick her up. The fire was already out, and yeah, so someone picking her up, she'd go, hi. So hi. In those 3 days, she'd kind of gotten used to, of course, and now, new point of view in that. So the world look, the height, a massive difference. Of course, it really, well, and yeah. He'd sort of just smile, and he'd go, hold on tight, I'm going to go fast, okay? If I'm going a bit too fast, just say okay. Okay. And somewhat from there, he's perceived to kind of jump into somewhat onto a branch of a tree, and then jump to the next and the next, and somewhat decent rates to it. He'd somewhat hear kind of somewhat loud, kind of giggles and that. Couldn't help it. That couldn't help it, even though he'd been, used to jump through trees, doing when he's, shinobi and that. He'd still been this small, and the speed and just the wind and that, it just felt so nice, so, and yeah, somewhat calming and happy. She couldn't help but somewhat loud giggles, and kind of somewhat told Hiruzen to kind of go faster, and yeah, Hiruzen somewhat smile, and though, yeah. Of course, yeah, though my Hiruzen was somewhat going would be to, of course, Konoha. Well, they were in Konoha, but more so the Shinobi District, which was more Pacific. Well, yeah, which somewhat was, well, had two entrances into the Shinobi District. From one, the town centre into Shinobi District, or the somewhat main one, which if you were going through the main gates, you'd go through the Shinobi Clan District, and then into the Shinobi District. And yeah, and somewhat as mostly somewhat apart, or at least most of the flats and that in the Shinobi District were all kind of somewhat didn't really have gardens or that, as well, roads and that going by, pathways and that. So yeah, but the one, though the place bordering the Shinobi clan district, of course the Shinobi clan district, being sort of, clan compounds on massive proportion of massive land and grass area, and that did mean that it was generally grass and that. So yeah, so he'd gotten a decent sized somewhat back kind of garden, as he'd figured if those somewhat civilians tried overcharging her and that, she could get buy seeds and that, plant her own fruit and veg, and once she was taught, if she chooses to become a Konrichi, she could once she's taught how to use kunai and that, she could go into the forest, which being bordering the Shinobi clan compound, or at least the Shinobi clan district, should just be somewhat jump over the fence of a garden and walk a bit of distance, and should be in the forest where she could hunt for food. And yeah, which pretty much meant she could be fully self-sustained without having to rely on these somewhat idiots of the civilians. And yeah, anyway, from of course that they somewhat arriving to realise this wasn't the sort of apartment, but she was apartment complex, but she wasn't going to say anything. Of course, she pretty much wasn't really meant to. Well, that was his old life. And yeah, of course, a different thing was Harrison had thought somewhat that night and doing kind of the day once he'd woken up, that once it would be okay, I thought she was only a kid, somewhat. He could, get her, sort of naked and obviously, get her dressed, get her washed, and that he'd figured at the very least, and because she'd probably, so she was at the age now where so much she would truly be remembering, it may not exactly be the best idea. So, sort he'd went out and he'd somewhat asked for his, somewhat a Ambu medicine when he trusted very much, so to kind of do so. And yeah, though of course the Ambu medicine was wearing no mask or that, as well, he didn't want to freak out the girl and that, and yeah. And while he somewhat, though when the from Ambu Magnin was getting her sort of washed and that, he'd be able to take a peek at the kind of written dress to see her size and kind of get a actual sort of kind of somewhat dress, as that would just won't be easier on the somewhat same size to kind of fit her. And yeah, so somewhat from that, though, after a while he'd somewhat seemingly stop, and he'd somewhat he'd take her off her shoulders, and she'd kind of go, are we there? And he'd somewhat nod, yeah, this somewhat right here is going to be your home. And yeah, she'd go, wow, really? Yep. This somewhat fence right here, I think somewhat in here, this side of the fence, he'd somewhat gesture to the grass and that, and the somewhat home, and that is all somewhat yours. Wow, really? Yep. Yeah. So somewhat from there, he'd push open, they'd somewhat kind of walk through, pushing open the gate, and yeah. And somewhat, of course, somewhat from there, though, the gate always would somewhat have a spring on it, which, well, at least one side did, and the other had it somewhat detached, which was somewhat in the home. The only reason why was because, well, somewhat the other side, Naruto may obviously somewhat, you could tell she was somewhat weak, and so she may not be strong enough to move the gate with the spring attached, whereas it wasn't, it was, it wasn't even noticeable to him and probably to most people, but to children, a spring on a gate was somewhat noticeable, and in her state it may be to a point where she may not even be able to open it. So yeah, I wanted to play it kind of safe at the moment. And that's why, he had an Ambu Magnet, a female Ambu Medic, and as I saw, any, female Ambu would be sort of fine, but he chose Medic, and to obviously get a, physical check-up as well, to make sure there was no potential kind of, kind of someone, not life-threatening injuries, but no kind of permanent damage. Granted, the fox could potentially heal that, but the fox probably had, any amount of chakra that was leaked through the seal was probably keeping her alive. So, yeah. Anyway, so though he would say that there was a person waiting inside, to which it slightly stiffen up, though it'd say that it was a trustworthy woman who would be kind of checking her over, checking me over. I'd go, yeah. Most people would, go to a hospital, which is a place where people can only go when they're not really feeling okay, and they can get checked out by someone to see if they're okay. Yeah. So you'd nod, but why is that person here then? Well, I don't know how long you've been kind of living in that forest for, and so I kind of wanted to check you over to make sure you're all okay and that you're all fine. Yeah, so go, okay, I feel fine, besides from hungry. Aha, don't worry, once you get nice and clean, that'll be the first thing. Only after you check up, and once you get cleaned and that'll be the first thing we do. And then from there, some clothes shopping and that, to get you some, new clothes, to which you'd nod. And yeah, once they'd and we'd pull out the key, unlock the front door, and he'd enter, taking off some of his shoes, and yeah, and we'd kind of carry Naruto, or at least pick up really once more, shut the front door, and we'd go into the living room to its medicine, and we'd be there, put it down, and it would introduce obviously the medicine to her and Ruby. So introduce the two of them. Yeah, from there the Magnin would check her over and that, and would after that she'd then go and would start running the bath and that, as Hilson would tell her, about Shinobi, gonna reach in that, and of course, she'd, and what chakra was, and that kind of, warm and would ask if she felt any warmth energy, to which Naruto momentarily thought about dying, but decided against it right now, and nodded. I need to go, that's chakra. And yeah, he didn't seem that surprised that she already could slightly use it, or that. And yeah, that did slightly, kind of get her to be curious, but oh well. Anyway, from there, those should do something, would come back, and would take her in to kind of get out undressed and that, and she'd put her into the water, asking if it was too hot and that, to which she'd say it was fine, and she'd state that she'd be right back after getting some washing stuff and that, and yeah, she'd nod, and she'd also kind of take out Ruby's old clothes, sort of tell his and sort of kind of, or at least sort of shoe size, I should kind of sort of figure that out, as well as sort her sort of dress size and that, and and from there Houston would sort of leave to obviously get those, and and sort of come back, and those sort of as And with that, I'm going to end this part here, guys. So if you have enjoyed this part, do tell me in the comments down below. And of course, if you want part 2, do say, guys. And hope you guys and girls have a good day or night, depending on wherever you are and whenever you watch this. And good bye.